Good day, St. Luke's. I am Dr. Janice Monroe's Modeste, and I am excited to be able to join you today to talk about a very exciting and empowering topic. I was invited by Pastor Mully, so I am so grateful to him that he has invited me here to impart to you and just kind of talk with you about something that's very important, which is you. So we're going to talk about you today, every single one specifically. We know that when we use God's word, it goes into each individual to fit what each individual may need. And so today we want to talk about how God has such a special plan for each and every one of us individually. And so when I say this verse, most of you may know it already. We've heard it in the past. But today we're going to focus in on why it's important to us and how this verse can ensure that we walk in wholeness in all areas of our lives. We know that in John 10:10, it talks about how the enemy came to kill, steal, and destroy, which means to kill, steal, and destroy us, whether it's our joy, whether it's our peace of mind, whether it's our finances or our relationships. He just came to kill, steal, and destroy anything that we know the second half says that Jesus came that he may give us life and life abundantly. So we see two opposing factors here, that Jesus came to give you life more abundantly, and the enemy is here to try to make it so that you are not able to enjoy that. And so we're going to be sharing out a biblical strategy to help each and every one, whether you may be 5, 15, or 50. It makes no difference. We all need to hear and to remind ourselves of what Christ has come so that we can enjoy. Another verse that we need, because we know that the Bible is basic instructions before leaving earth. And so for us to enjoy this life that we get to be born into, we want to be able to enjoy this. We want to use the kingdom strategies that he has in place so that we can enjoy what he has already laid out for us to enjoy. And so we see that in Jeremiah 29:11, it says, I know the plans that I have for you is plans of peace. And before I go into the rest, let's just stop right there. So we know that in the beginning, that the plan was already laid out for you before you were even born, that you will have a life of peace. But when you look in the Hebrew word there for peace, in that context, in Jeremiah 29:11, is shalom. And so when we dig into the word shalom, we want to know what that means, because Jesus is saying he was talking to Jeremiah, he's talking to us, because we know he came for whosoever. So all of us is a whosoever. So whosoever will can partake of this that we're sharing out for you today. He's saying, if you want to be a part of it, he's saying the plans I have for you is peace. And so shalom is wholeness, it's wellness, it's health, it's safety, it's success. And so just let's think about all these words that I just said. It's showing you the full picture. It's showing you about wellness. It's showing you that it means for you to be whole. And we see a lot when Jesus healed, he always says, thy faith has made you whole. So it's all about you being whole. And so specifically today, I want to focus in on this wholeness piece, because a lot of times we forget that one of the promises is wellness. So wellness, we usually talk about your emotions, your mind, your feelings. We know your will, your emotions. Those things are important to God, and I know they're important to you as well. However, sometimes we forget how important those feelings are, and we brush them to the side. And we do the same. If we do it to ourselves, we would more than likely do it to others. So as I said, you could be 5, you could be 15, or you can be 50. This pertains to everyone at the sound of my voice, right? God says his plan for you is shalom. He wants you whole, and we're going to focus in on your emotions, your mind. Because a lot of times we focus in on the other areas, and we know that we have to try to be balanced in all these areas in every stage of our lives. So whether you're in high school, you're in college, you're at work, you're starting a new career, you're starting a new life as an empty nester, wherever you may be, you have to constantly be trying to keep that balance so that you can live that life that Jesus died that you might enjoy, because we know that he says it's all up to us to receive it. And so today I'm coming to you to remind you that this belongs to you. Shalom belongs to you. However, because we forget to focus on our feelings, sometimes we pass it on to others, because you can't give what you don't have, right? So let's look at a quick example in Psalm 42 with David. We see that he was able to recognize how he felt. He said, he asked a question to himself. He asked himself, he says, why are you oppressed? In verse 2. And he said, because sometimes when you think about oppression, it could be you oppressed because someone's annoying you at work. You could be oppressed because your relationship's not going well. You can be oppressed because you're behind on your finances. And you can be oppressed because you feel sick. And so there are different times and in different areas of our lives that we may not be feeling whole. And God cares about those times. And don't keep those feelings to yourself. You bring it to him, whether you have to write it down or share it with someone who you confide in, someone who you feel safe with. But one thing you don't want to do is bury it and not confront it and not speak about it. So David was able to ask himself, hey, and recognizing himself, the despair that he was going through. And because he was able to do that, he was able to replace it with the correct feeling that God had for him. But he couldn't do that without first recognizing how he felt. And so it's important for us to remember to teach our children to recognize those feelings, to respect those feelings, to acknowledge that they have those feelings. So, for example, if whether your child is 2 and they're crying because they're hungry or they're hot, instead of saying be quiet or don't, because remember, they're communicating with you the only way they know how. So if it's through tears or it's through a tantrum, sometimes what we do is we focus on what we could see on the outside. We focus on the tantrum, we focus on the tears, but we don't focus on what's going on the inside. So we want to get used to telling ourselves how we feel and then telling others to teach others how they feel. So you would say, for example, you would say, I know you're feeling hungry. Do you feel hungry? Do you feel hot? And then you give them something in response. So do you feel hot? Maybe do you want to take your jacket off? Even if they're 2, even if they're 1, you want to get used to talking to your children, even if they're 15 and they're doing a tantrum or they're looking for love in the wrong places. You want to talk to them about their feelings. How are you feeling? Do you feel alone? Are you feeling depressed? Are you sad? Are you anxious? Are you worried? So let's get used to focusing on each other's feelings. But first, You have to focus on yours, like David was able to do. He was able to say, talk to his soul. He says, soul, why are you discouraged? Why are you upset? Why are you sad? Hope in the Lord. So he was able to encourage himself in the Lord and remind himself what God said. Okay? But the important thing is, it has to start with you. You have to start with acknowledging how you feel and bringing it to God, and then allowing him to replace those. So I don't want to leave you today and not give you a tool that you can, a strategy that you can use. So a great strategy that you can use to help you once you name your feelings, to give you a replacement, is to use God's word. And so if you're feeling oppressed, like David, he remembered, he says, oh, hope in the Lord. You are my strength. He was able to remind himself of that. And in verse 3, he said, send light, because he felt like he was in a dark place. So because he felt like he was in a dark place and he recognized that he was in a dark place, he was able to call the light. So he said, he was able to tell God, send light, right? So I want to encourage you today with a simple tool, which we call affirmation, which is just saying what God has already spoken. I call it Inspirational Affirmation. And at the end, I will have some resources that can help you if you want to get in that habit of affirming yourself, affirming your children, and just most importantly, affirming you. Because once you start doing it for yourself, you're able to go out and then you're able to help others as well to be whole. Okay, so once we're talking about shalom and success and safety and everything, let's not forget wellness. Let's not forget our emotions. Let's not forget about how we are feeling and how those around us are also feeling. Okay, and so a great tip right before we go is affirmation, affirming yourself. And so as God said that wellness is yours and wholeness is yours. So if you're going through a tough time right now, you could say, remind yourself, I have hope. I have hope in God. God is going to see me through. Okay. And so those are just little ways that you can remind yourself and affirm yourself. Because I have this last verse in Isaiah 55 verse 11. It says, God said, my word that goes out from my mouth, it will not return to me void. It will prosper in the thing that I sent it. So if you would like a lot of affirmations that's based on God's word that we know is sure to bring you success, just stay tuned until the end for a short clip on how you can do that. But remember, it's God's word. You have the scriptures here, but sometimes we may be a little bit intimidated by it. And so I just want to encourage you that when you speak to God and you ask him for light, you ask him for his truth, you ask him for his joy, that's all he's requiring. Just say those words. He is there for you. He is near you. He is with you, and he is in you. And so he wants you to enjoy the life that he has preordained from you even before this world was conceived. So I want to encourage you in that, to know that he is with you throughout your life from 5, 15, 50 and beyond. He is there with you, and he is always going to be there, because he says he's never going to leave you. And so with that, I want to bid you shalom, and I will see you again, hopefully soon. God is turning your situation around, and you are coming out on top. And what we're learning to do is how to read, write, affirm as a means of meditating on God's word. We know that in Joshua 1:8, it says, if you meditate on the word day and night, you will have success.